Sir Terry Pratchett's one of the most successful novelists in the world. In fact, he was the best-selling writer in the United Kingdom until J.K. Rowling came along with Harry Potter. 4 years ago, Sir Terry was diagnosed with a rare form of early-onset Alzheimer's, and he's since become a passionate advocate of euthanasia. We spoke in Sydney.
Terry Pratchett, welcome to the program. I read that one of your British fans drove for a day to go to one of your book signings, and then he stood in the freezing rain for 6 hours, and he said afterwards that it was worth it to see you because you're an incredible writer and an incredibly nice man. Do compliments get any better than that?
Oh yeah, I get kissed by the ladies, which is I think that's better than that, to tell you the truth. Yeah. After a while, you just learn to smile and have a beer and all the rest of it. You get very embarrassed, for heaven's sake, because when you go home, you're just your wife's husband, and you've got to go and clean out the cat box.
It must be such a nice privilege, though, to have a job where people want to tell you how much they appreciate you. It's not like if you're a lift maintenance guy and, this lift's got me.
Well, I always tell the lift maintenance guy that I'm really pleased that we actually got to the bottom in one piece. But it becomes just part of the job. And there is a dark side, because you do a lot of things for the fans, because, I suppose you want to maintain that image, and you don't want them to find out what a terrible old curmudgeon you are, really.
Your book sales are in the millions. You have millions of fans. I've mentioned how zealous they are. But you've recently become known beyond the fans of your books because you've gone public to discuss the fact that you have a rare form of Alzheimer's disease, and you've become an advocate for the right to assisted death. What made you decide to do that?
When I was sitting there thinking about the Alzheimer's, and I thought, well, what I'd like is, let's hang out and do the best we can, and then I'd very much like to have a lie down in the sunshine somewhere, listening to Thomas Tallis on the iPod after a nice brandy, and a nice friendly doctor will give me the little jab, which would just send me away. And I had so much mail after that. Most of it, by far the most of it, was from people who agreed and said, yes, that's exactly right, that's what we want. Why, if you're old and lame and you can't be cured and the disease is getting worse every day, are you expected to grin and bear it just because someone would like to care for you? It's not up to them. It's up to you.
So what role do you think that governments should have in this issue? Because it's treated as a societal issue rather than an individual issue.
It's an individual issue. It should be. And the fact that one person has an assisted death does not mean that anyone else, by any means, should have one. I'm absolutely clear on this, and so is everybody else that does it. If you go to Switzerland, for example, where they do allow foreigners to die, which I think shames everybody involved, the person who wants to die has to make it very clear over a period of days to a doctor that this is what they want to do. And the reasons for wanting to die are set out, because they're not all that keen on letting someone die just because they really feel like it. It really has to be, you have to be possessed of a bad disease. But what happens is, I think some of the Christian majority these days put a spoke in the wheel. And they say that God, they say, what about the sanctity of human life? And I say, what about the dignity of human life?
In your case, with your Alzheimer's disease, what effect is it having on you so far? Because people watching this interview will be thinking, he's talking very well, he's completely lucid, I can't see anything wrong.
Talk to me again in 2 years' time. It's a cumulative thing. But also...
Are you noticing it having an effect on you yet?
Yes. Bits drop out. The short-term memory is gone, and so has the short-term memory. The short-term memory, okay, little joke, won't be so funny in the fullness of time, but laughter is the best medicine.
Well, you have a reputation in your books for being able to wring humour out of dark situations.
Oh, indeed. PCA, which is posterior cortical atrophy, that means that my problems are more or less with, if you put a glass down on that table, I'd have to look. Okay, table, glass. In other words, I wouldn't just pick it up. It's depth vision and all kinds of weird things, often to do with your sight. Nothing wrong with the sight, but the parts of the brain dealing with the sight have some difficulty.
Are you afraid of death?
No.
He's a rather likeable character in your books.
Yes, he owes me a lot of money.
He's made you a lot of money.
Who can be afraid of death? What's there to be afraid of?
Well, the unknown.
Oh, no, I treasure the unknown. It's the here and now that worries me. Oh, my word. No, it's what people dread is the dying, not the death. And that's why I think assisted dying comes in. It takes you from the life to the death without the inconvenient bit in the middle.
And how will you know for yourself when it's time to go?
I thought it was about last Thursday yourself. I had a convention to attend. What I really like is what they do in... is it Wyoming? Not Wyoming, I've forgotten.
Oregon.
Oregon, that's right. Once you're diagnosed of the disease and they said, yes, you are a candidate, this fits the thing, they give you the potion. The thing is, there is some evidence that people live longer. They know that they could die if they took this medicine. But it's a nice day today and it doesn't feel too bad. And the wife's cooking a really good dinner. So maybe I'll die tomorrow. And then tomorrow, the grandchildren are coming. Maybe I'll die tomorrow. And one guy who was expected to die within 2 years was still going after 3 years, because every day he did the most human thing. He decided whether he was going to die, and he decided whether he was going to live. Animals can't do that. It's nice to think that man can. It's perhaps one of the greatest things we can ever do.
Sir Terry, it's been so lovely to meet you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And an extended 20-minute version of that interview with Sir Terry Pratchett will be available shortly on our website.